I'm going to show you how to make this absolutely delicious, economical steak taste delicious. So let's get to cooking. We are starting off with a Denver steak. I buy it at my local Food Lion. Denver steak to me is like a cross between a ribeye and a New York strip steak, and I usually can get it for $7.99 to $9.99 a pound. The seasonings we're going to use include avocado oil, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked sea salt, and smoked paprika. Now, I am a person who does wash off my whole beef steak, so I'm just giving it a rinse to inspect each piece, make sure there are no fatty bits that I want to take off. If you want to skip this step, you absolutely can. I'm just giving it a quick rinse in cool water. You'll notice after a cool rinse that the color does change, and to me, whatever rinses off doesn't need to be there when I cook it. So I'm giving it a pat dry because we want it to be very dry before we sear it in our pan. And now I'm adding my seasonings. I added a light drizzle of oil to help my seasoning stick to the steak. I'm adding my seasonings to my taste, which is just a light sprinkle of everything. Now, I do just do a pinch of salt because I don't want a lot of salt in the beginning. You can always add more salt at the end if you feel like you need it. I am generous with the paprika. You'll notice I even put some to the side, so I'll have plenty to rub on the other side of the steaks. Actually, I'm rubbing all sides of the steaks with the seasoning to make sure it is well coated. This will help ensure I have a beautiful crust, which is what I like to see. If you're a person that only wants salt and pepper on your steak, then you absolutely can season it that way. It is your steak, so it is your choice. I am adding more garlic powder and onion powder on the second side. I like to make sure my steak has been out of the refrigerator about 10 minutes before I cook it. Here, I'm adding oil to my nonstick pan, which I didn't need to do. I usually use a cast iron pan, but the oil isn't going to hurt it. So you want to let your pan warm up and then add your steaks. And the amount of time it takes you to cook on each side depends on a number of factors, including how thick your steak is, the type of pan you use, how high your heat is. So I cook mine about 4 or 5 minutes on each side, the two main sides, and then I turn the steak all around its perimeter to make sure it gets a little bit brown on all sides. I'm not going to cook this in the oven. This steak is going to be fully cooked on the stove top. So I turn the heat on medium high and then I turn it down as it cooks. So that's why I can't give you an exact time to cook it. But I do cook it to an internal temperature of 130 degrees with the knowledge that as I let it rest for 10 or 15 minutes on my cutting board, that temperature is going to increase at least to 135 for medium rare, which is what I want because I'm going to be eating on the steak for a couple of days and I'm going to reheat it in my microwave and I don't want it to be tough. I do add a pat of butter on each steak and a little bit of red wine vinegar because it tastes delicious to me. If you've never tried red wine vinegar and butter on your steak, you just may want to try it. After a few minutes out, look at what my thermometer says now. It's a little bit higher than 135, maybe 136, 137, and that's exactly what I want it to see. So after it's rested for 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to slice into it. I make this steak several times a year, so I have several clips that I've shown you, and the steaks always come out delicious using this general method. So if you find Denver chuck steak in your local grocery store and you've never tried it before, buy a pack and see how you like it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel.